Welcome, everyone. Today, we're diving into one of the most intriguing developments of the cannabis industry, the rise of intoxicating hemp-derived cannabinoids, or IHDs. Following the 2018 Farm Bill, these things broke out a big time. So stick around as we break down what happened, the current market dynamics, and the looming legal challenges. Let's go over it all right now. The story starts with the 2018 Farm Bill, which was passed in December of that year. This groundbreaking legislation legalized hemp in the United States, defining it as any part of the cannabis sativa L plant with less than 0.3% Delta-9 THC on a dry weight basis. This made it possible to grow, possess, and sell hemp-derived products legally across the country. But there's more to it than just that. The USDA took on the role of regulating hemp production, which involved creating a licensing system, record-keeping protocols, and strict THC testing requirements prior to harvest. States could submit their own plans for managing hemp production, but if they didn't, the federal USDA regulations would apply. After legalization, hemp production skyrocketed, with farmers eager to jump into the booming market. But soon, things took a turn south. By 2020, a lack of demand for CBD products and inconsistent regulations led to a huge oversupply, and the price of CBD oil plummeted. Many farmers found themselves unable to make a profit, leaving them injured economically. However, this downturn created an opportunity for chemists who took a literal interpretation of the law and pushed intoxicating or psychoactive products. What exactly are these intoxicating hemp-derived cannabinoids, aka IHDs? It started with Delta-8 THC. Around late 2020, Delta-8 THC began to make waves. Unlike traditional Delta-9 THC, which is the main psychoactive component in marijuana, Delta-8 is typically available naturally in only trace amounts, so much so that the USDA considered that when omitting it from its test for total THC that the plant is supposed to be subjected to prior to harvest. But anyway, back to Delta-8. Purportedly, it offers milder effects, but with the added bonus of being legal in many places, or legal in many places because it's derived from hemp. Colorado became the first state to shut this down in May of 2021. The FDA also released letters indicating the substance has no safety data and is not allowed for ingestion into the food supply. Despite this, Delta-8 quickly became popular in forms like gummies, vapes, and tinctures. This was largely due to the lack of specific federal regulations around it at the time and a hyper-literal reading of the term hemp to be 0.3% or less Delta-9 THC, not Delta-8. So what else is there? After 2020, THCO acetate appeared, marketed as a more potent derivative of THC. This was followed by HHC and THCP, and recently THCJD, the IHD with a lot of green. That's right. Actually, that's not close to being accurate. THCJD is an analog of some sort of Delta-9, completely made in a lab, all of which just goes to show that these hemp-derived products are available and psychoactive. Here's where this issue may become clear. Out of all these cannabinoids, they have very similar effects to the Delta-9 THC. That just raises this huge question about the legal framework. As it was intended by the 2018 Farm Bill, it said Delta-9, but the point of that was for non-intoxicating cannabis. However, entrepreneurial chemists took advantage of the literal definition of hemp and created these intoxicating substances that got people high, the exact opposite of the intent of the original legislation to allow hemp products. By 2022, the market for these products had exploded. We're talking about in the billions of dollars in the United States alone. The popularity of Delta-8 THC, for example, reached hundreds of millions in sales in a very short time frame. However, states started to take actions, with over 14 such states imposing restrictions or bans to concentrations over safety and the lack of regulation. The emergence of THCA flower, another product that became popular recently. And if you want to see one of the reasons why I'm to blame on that, you can check out the video about how THCA was essentially legalized by the 2018 Farm Bill. I'll drop a link to that up there. So this THCA flower, it's a type of hemp flower that contains THCA, the precursor to THC. It is literally weed because that's how the plant actually works. It makes THCA and then you spark a joint and then that decarbs it into natural Delta-9 THC. So while it technically falls under the definition of hemp with less than 0.3% Delta-9 THC, as soon as it's heated or left out in the sun or some other type of degradation process where an acid breaks off of the THCA, it becomes the psychoactive THC, and you're going to go over the line of that 0.3. Anyway, this legal gray area has allowed THCA flower to grow in popularity, but it has prompted some states to crack down to ensure consistency with marijuana regulations. Now, let's talk about the legal challenges based on the original intent of the 2018 Farm Bill. The 2018 Farm Bill was never meant to legalize intoxicating substances. In fact, Senator Ron Wyden, during the introduction of the bill in April 2018, made it extremely clear that the goal was to support non-intoxicating hemp products like CBD or hemp seeds that you could buy at Costco, which could help hemp farmers, researchers, and entrepreneurs without needing to recreational marijuana use. The idea was to get those hemp hearts made in the USA, but that still has not been the case, as the last bag that I bought from Costco was from Lithuania. Much to the chagrin of Senator Wyden, who said the following:
hemp does not produce the high associated with marijuana. The only thing you're going to accomplish by smoking hemp is wasting your breath, wasting your time, and wasting lighter fluid.
However, products like Delta-8 THC, THCO, and other IHDs have effectively created an unintended loophole, much like another synthetic of the natural alkaloid in the opium poppy, oxycodone. These IHDs mimic the psychoactive effects of marijuana, but without being regulated in the same way. Now, this is a classic example of the absurd result principle, a legal doctrine that suggests laws should not be applied in ways that lead to results legislature did not intend. This is the exception that proves the rule. The rule of statutory construction is you read the plain language of what the statute says, and if it's not ambiguous, you give that its full effect. Some courts have, in my opinion, incorrectly ruled as to the legality of Delta-8 or THCO, maybe because other lawyers did not bring up the absurd result principle in prosecuting or defending those cases. Because you see, while that is the rule, it's the exception that proves the rule. The case that is most famous in the United States has to do with Sheriff Kirby, who was a sheriff, and he was trying to catch somebody who was wanted for murder. That person happened to be a mailman, and he was arrested while delivering mail, which federal crime. You're not allowed to stop the mail service. And so Sheriff Kirby was prosecuted for violating this federal crime, and the Supreme Court said absolutely not. Despite that being literally true, that's not how the law applies. And despite it being literally true that 0.3% Delta-9 THC is the dividing line between marijuana or hemp for the plant that is cannabis, that was not really what the Congress intended by putting that limit there. In fact, with intoxicating hemp, you have the exact opposite of what the legislature intended by the literal application of the text of the law. If you want a deeper understanding of the absurd result principle, please see the video I did on it. I will put that over here. In this case, the widespread availability of IHD products is at odds with the original legislative intent, which was to promote non-intoxicating hemp industry. The absurd result here is that hemp, meant to be a benign agricultural product, has led to the proliferation of substances that have similar intoxicating effects to marijuana or identical intoxicating effects. So what's next? There are growing calls for a judicial review to reinterpret or amend the definition of hemp. The argument is that the definition should be updated to exclude the products that are synthesized or manipulated to produce intoxicating effects. This would bring the law back in line with what its original intent was, and ensure that intoxicating or psychoactive products are regulated similarly to marijuana. And that's the full picture, folks. The story of the 2018 Farm Bill is a fascinating journey of unintended consequences and market innovation, but also one of legal challenges that we're still grappling with today. If you enjoyed this video, then please like it, subscribe to our channel, and become a legalizer by joining it so you can get your name on our podcast credits. Don't forget to check out the links in the description for all the sources we discussed today. See you next time.